Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video I'm going to break down exactly how to learn the piano. I'm going to help you work out what learning the piano is for you and how you can actually achieve success on the piano by knowing how learning on the piano works. And I'm also going to talk about what kind of mindset you need to be able to succeed on the piano. So firstly, what does learning the piano mean? Well, the important thing here is to realise that learning the piano is different for everyone. Not many learners or teachers realise this. It's not a one-size-fits-all process. The person that wants to be a classical pianist is going to learn very differently to the person that wants to be a songwriter. And the person that wants to play jazz is going to learn very differently to the person that wants a challenge but is just learning for leisure. So the first thing you need to decide is what you actually want to do with the piano. What's your long-term goals? Is it for yourself or do you want to perform? These kinds of questions will help you determine what kind of path you want to take with the piano. So here are just a few examples of what a path might look like. So person number one, the classical pianist. If your aim is to be a classical concert pianist, then you will definitely want to go down the graded route. You're going to want to have good technical ability using exercises like Hanon exercises. And you're going to want to be a pretty good sight reader so you can learn music quickly and play on the spot if needed. Person number two, the bedroom pop performer. For this type of person, grades aren't going to be particularly important. However, music theory is going to be important. This is because you're going to want to understand how chords work and how songs are structured and how to vamp on the piano and how to do a bit of improvisation. Person number three, the older learning for pleasure to keep the mind going person. For person number three, grades might be a good way of providing structure. You're probably going to want to practice sight reading so you can pick up some pieces of music that you like and work through them. There isn't the same pressure or intent as someone that's wanted to be a classical concert pianist, but the skills you're wanting to acquire might be quite similar, with maybe some improvisation thrown in for when you want to be creative with your playing. You might fit into one of these three examples, or you might not. You might be learning for an entirely different reason altogether. However, hopefully this should give you an idea of what kind of elements you want to focus on when it comes to learning the piano. If you're getting value from this video so far, then hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss my future videos, please. So now you might have an idea of what kind of things you want to get out of learning the piano. How are you actually going to do it? Well, the key is to have short-term and long-term goals. And for this, I'm going to break down learning the piano into various categories for you so that you are able to set goals and get the most out of it. Each of these categories are kind of linked together and you will find that you might need to learn parts of them together. So here are the categories: sight reading, technique, music theory, improvisation, and musicality. I would recommend having some short-term and long-term goals for each of these categories that fit with what you want to get out of the piano. For sight reading, that might mean having a long-term goal of being able to work out pieces really quickly, or to be able to sight read most songs that you like, or you may not even be interested in learning to read altogether, which is also okay. I would recommend learning to read as it's the best way to understand music and play pretty much anything. But I realise that for some people, learning to read might be too much hassle for what you want to get out of playing the piano, which is okay. Some short-term goals for sight reading might be to be able to quickly recognise notes on a page, or to be able to count rhythms quickly. If you want a breakdown of how I would approach sight reading, then I have done a video which, amongst other things, explains that, and I will leave a link to that video in the description. For technique, you might have a long-term goal of being able to play some tricky parts of a specific piece, or you might want to be able to comfortably play a jazz solo, for example. A short-term goal might be to be able to play a scale perfectly with good technique, or to be able to play an exercise consistently. Music theory applies to most of how you learn to play the piano. However, a long-term goal could be understanding how to write and structure a pop song, or it could be to understand how chord progressions work, or even how piano sonatas are written. Short-term goals could be understanding time signatures or all the different major keys. For improvisation, a long-term goal could be to be able to sit down and write a song on the spot, or to be able to play a jazz solo without practicing it. Some short-term goals could be to be able to play 4 chords that work together without having played them before. And musicality. Now, musicality is all about how you play the piano rather than what you're actually playing. So for this, it's all about understanding the emotions in a piece of music, or how to play something to get the best sound. So a long-term goal for this might be to be able to play music understanding how it's supposed to feel. Short-term goals might be learning how phrasing works in music or how to shape melodies. So at this point, we've talked about what learning the piano might mean for you, and what type of long and short-term goals you might have depending on what you're looking to get out of learning the piano. So let's move on to mindset and how to actually approach learning the piano. When learning any skill over a long period of time, mindset is always going to be a key factor in success. Learning the piano can have many ups and downs. One moment you think you've got it and you can do it, and the next minute you feel like you're never going to get there. So let's talk about what learning the piano actually takes. Now at this point it goes without saying that it depends on what you want to get out of learning the piano. However, a good way of looking at it is by remembering the 10,000 hour rule. Now this is a pretty famous concept, but put simply, it's just the idea that 10,000 hours spent practicing a skill will enable you to master it. While I don't think this is necessarily true, you do have to remember that learning the piano is a long-term project and you will have to put in more hours than you can count. If you enjoy the process of getting better, then it won't feel like work. But try not to expect that you will spend an hour learning to read notes and then you'll be able to play the piano. That kind of mindset will just lead to frustration and you'll probably just end up quitting. The way that learning any motor skill works is by repeating the process lots of times so that your brain learns the pattern. So you might understand how to do something, but you might not actually be able to physically do it straight away, and that's okay. That's just part of the process. This is where practice methods come in to try and help you physically be able to do something. In order to be able to physically do something on the piano that is difficult, you have to be able to practice properly so that you are teaching your brain the right things to play effectively, rather than just playing and hoping to get better. And in this video, I explain exactly how to practice properly. So if you are interested in learning about that, then head on over and I will see you there.